What's good? What's good? I was originally going to title this video on depression, dignity, and post-capitalism. Those P's, I gotta work on the P's. But I think the self-actualization crisis actually connects all of those dots perfectly. And so I'm just going to rant about all of the above quickly. Are you familiar with the concept of self-actualization? If no, maybe pause this video and go research Maslow's Hierarchy of Needs. That's just the quickest, easiest go-to. A lot of social and clinical psychologists over the years have created their own ideas like individuation or integration, all kinds of stuff. But so the conceptual idea of self-actualization transcends specific doctrine and dogma and philosophy and spirituality, or it can, rather. And that's a deeper conversation where people are getting too stuck on semantics and specificity, where if I say self-actualization, some people may box the conversation into only how Abraham Maslow looked at the idea. But I'm a very conceptual thinker and converser. And so let's just talk about the concept of self-actualization for a minute. I think it is a three-dimensional metaphysical way to discuss maybe what the hippies and the Indian traditions, that's East Indian, and other non-Christian, non-Abrahamic faiths have talked about as enlightenment or awakening. The Buddha is a great example. And so self-actualization, the concept, is a Western idea that is trying to make sense of previous faiths, spiritualities, their belief systems, and their ultimate driving purpose in life, their divine driving purpose in life. Christians would say that a self-actualized person is someone who has given themselves completely to Jesus and God and all that other stuff, but the Bible's just a tricky thing, and I don't want to get into that. Anyways, okay. So the concept of self-actualization, if you try to embed that within your daily life, I think inspires one to contribute to something that transcends themselves. So it's a direct sort of approach to not conquering your ego, but utilizing, because I don't think you don't conquer your ego, you integrate it. And so that's why all of these words are kind of somewhat connected. So if you're integrating your ego, you're using it to drive you adequately or properly towards that self-actualization goal. Now, if you're a depressed person, that changes the game entirely and completely. And I think depression is very connected to a lack of purpose or meaning in life. If you do not have a transcending ideal that sort of drives you, it can be easy to be lost in a hedonistic or nihilistic sort of haze. But in our culture today, there are so many sources of distraction distraction from self-love, from self-investment. That self-investment is that necessary component to the path of self-actualization. And so this is when, if you look at my conversations with Kyle from Blue Brothers, or Brothers Blue, I can't remember, but I get really worked up because I agree that a lot of our systems within our culture, a lot of our systems within our machine are very broken, are very corrupt, are very dark, are very unconscious. And so that word again, consciousness, is such a big word, but if we can try and distill it simply into awareness, the awareness of perpetuating bad systems, or the awareness of your role within these systems. I think the police organizations are a great example, where I would say most police officers are just trying to put food on the table, do something good for their community, and support their family. They're not aware, unless they're actively doing nefarious things, which some are. There are some very bad police officers. There are some very bad people in every profession. Very bad people exist. That's like a fundamental thing of human nature. And so now, how do we, when I think about police officers and them complicit in perpetuating bad systems, and then I look at my own life and my own experiences, I'm going to bring the depression into it. I have struggled to find dignified employment. So dignified employment being something that affords me not to have to work 60 to 70 hours a week just to get by. I was very spoiled for a few years when I worked at Boeing, and then I quit, and I shouldn't have, but if you're watching this video, you understand why I did. You understand the message I'm trying to get out. I think over the past few years, it has been harder and harder to just get by. I agree with the angry people from both sides of the aisle. The people are being oppressed. Just the average person. There is a ruling class and there is a peasantry class. Most of us are part of the fucking peasantry class. And so in all this talk of power dynamics and oppression, the fact that we're focusing on fighting our neighbors instead of uniting with them is exactly what the ruling class wants. Power is a huge variable in human nature, in human existence, in human civilization. It is something we should discuss directly and head on so as to prevent it from pervading our institutions, that corruption of power that just somehow turns someone's soul dark, which enables them to create these monsters like the military-industrial complex that encourages police officers to throw black men in jail for a little bit of pot, that discourages you from smoking pot. The fucking propaganda around marijuana has traumatized so many people in this country. So let me bring it all back to that cop. What can that cop do to provide for his family in 2020? Even before the lockdowns, what opportunities are there? Automation, outsourcing, illegal immigration. These things are totally fucking the average American. And it really frustrates me that our government focuses on criminalizing the illegal immigrants instead of the employers who undercut the average American by under the table hiring these workers that are quite often at your local Home Depot. That's not a thing. Like it's not something that people make up. I live in the Pacific Northwest. Go buy a few Home Depots, and maybe not anymore with the virus, but before. So what opportunity does this police officer have? But let's look on the other side of that coin. What opportunity does the person just trying to sell a little pot have? Both of these people are in impossible situations, and the culture war that has been friggin' waged upon us and forced down our throats that divides us is winning. What opportunity is there? How many people, look at the riots and look at the protests and look at how many people are just fucking barely scraping by? Or, you know what, how many young women are doing OnlyFans that don't really want to? I have a few friends that, are debating doing it, but out of necessity, not desire. So there brings in that dignity component, that self-respect component. How do you have self-respect in a world where you don't feel like you have agency, where you don't feel like you have freedom, where you don't feel like you have opportunity? Men and women alike are being fucked. All of us, all people of this country that are not in the ruling class are being screwed. When I go to the grocery store and I look at people, I see so much depression and I see so much sadness. And I think to myself, actualized, happy people want that for other people. Actualized, happy people want other people to experience that joy, that fucking just elation of feeling good about who you are, feeling good about your place on this planet. And so with people who are just barely getting by, who are complicit in perpetuating these systems that they don't want to, but they don't know how, they hate themselves, so they numb themselves because they don't know what other options they have. The distraction from ourselves is how they continue to manipulate us. If you pursue self-actualization, if you pursue self-discovery, you will begin to see the layers of darkness of our unconscious culture, and you will begin to peel back your contributions. But you must remember that you are a human. No human is perfect. If you catch yourself in acknowledging something that you probably shouldn't be doing or shouldn't have done, you need to forgive yourself. The necessity for grace is human, because human existence leads to imperfection. There's no such thing as a perfect human. So as you begin down this path, remember that with dignity, it requires self-love and self-respect, and you are worthy of it. You are worthy of self-love, of self-respect. If you feel depressed, I get it. This culture is designed to distract you and to keep you perpetuating its existence. When I talk about the matrix, I'm talking about the aggregation of all of these systems, the military-industrial complex, the mainstream media propaganda apparatus, the fucking war on drugs, the increasing amount of stupid laws that police officers have to enforce, even if they don't want to, because there are increasingly fewer opportunities. So if you want to help de-radicalize your police officer friends or your super hippie friends, extend an olive branch and try to meet them where they are at and try and help them find a path forward, because I'm willing to bet so many people just do not see a path forward. And you have to make one for yourself, and it's so hard, but you have to do it. And it's going to take your community, it's going to take your friends, it's going to take your family. You can be the hero of your own journey, but you're not going to be the only person in that story. You need to be the hero of your own journey, but you also need to understand that you're going to need help. As hard as it is, ask for help. Man, thank you very much. I'm just rambling at this point, but if you're struggling, just remember that everything in the universe cycles. The darker the abyss, the brighter